Good evening, everybody. Welcome into the Golfing Dads. How's everybody doing this evening?
What's going on?
Hey, it's a record for me. It's like 2 weeks in a row.
This is you got a streak going like Scotty Scheffler.
I wouldn't give him that much credit at all, but that's a whole nother story.
Start off slow, come on strong.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
Man, I've been talking to Neil, who's joining us tonight for 2 years now. We've talked about this, Neil. I think it feels like coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 years.
And I feel like I called you. We were talking about this, and I said, I want to get Neil on, especially leading up to. I mean, we're 2 weeks out from Bay Hill. And this is it's a crazy time, and I know that when I show up to caddy, I see you first thing in the morning. Usually the sun's not up by the time I get there, and you're there till long after the sun goes down. So, Neil, I want to start first off.
Steve,
welcome to the Golfing Dads. Yep.
Steve, first off, let's introduce who Neil is to our fans.
Well, that's what I want him to tell us what he does, because he has a really cool gig. So Neil, why don't you tell our listeners, who are you and what do you do?
Sure. So for 35 years, I have been a fundraiser in the healthcare and medical school industry, and I've lived here 20 years, never worked for anybody in the Orlando area. So I've sort of come home and took a job at an animal shelter, raising money. So I get to do something that I always wanted to do, something I love. And, it's really been probably the most exciting job I've ever had in all this time, So they call me, a major gift fundraiser. What brought me here 20 years ago was raising the money to build Nemours Children's Hospital in Lake Nona, if you're familiar with it. So that's what I do. Married, 3 kids, a dog, 2 dogs. That's it in a nutshell.
And you volunteer, and you're one of the army of volunteers of Arnie's Army at the Arnold Palmer Invitational Presented by MasterCard. It's a mouthful to say. What's your role at Bay Hill?
Yeah, so I co-chair a committee, and we're responsible for the Pro-Am. There's one on Monday, and then there's one on Wednesday. And in being responsible for the Pro-Am, we have to take care of all the guests that come, all the amateur players. And as it sounds very glamorous, and it is if you're the player. And so we're there as volunteers to make sure that they have the absolute best experience for a considerable amount of money that they're paying to do this, which of course a lot of it goes to charity. So my specific responsibility is I have to recruit somewhere between 120 and 150 caddies every year for the Pro-Am. So that's my job. That's the hardest part of it. The second hardest part of it is when we get them all to the golf course. They're a tough group. They all want to work. They all want to get out. But it's not as easy as it sounds from my perspective. It takes a lot of work, and I get started on this back in September. That's what I do. And I know we'll talk a little bit later about how long I've been there and stuff.
Well, that was my next question, is how long you've been volunteering at Bay Hill. And, you've kind of talked about what you do at the tournament. How long have you been involved with the Arnold Palmer Invitational?
So this is my 9th year, which is very difficult to believe, but it is. And I got invited. Actually, this all started before I moved to Orlando. I lived in Las Vegas. And in Las Vegas, I was a part of a group of people called the Las Vegas Founders. And the Founders were responsible for putting on the PGA Tour event in Las Vegas every year. And so we were a group of voluntary chairs, as it goes. And there were 2 ways you could become a part of this group. There was sort of building yourself and your reputation in the community, and being asked or invited, or bring $25,000 or more sponsorship in and you automatically got a seat. So I raised money for him and automatically got a seat. So I spent 5 years there as a part of this volunteer group that ran the PGA event there. Very different now that I came to Florida, but I got very engaged in that project. Some of it went to the university hospital that I worked at. Some of it went back to the community. But there's nothing better than bringing, professional sports like golf to a community like Las Vegas. They are golf nutty. And then they get everybody from around the country who's crazy for golf to come in to town. So it was a good time. But that's where I learned about volunteering through a golf tournament, understanding the role of the PGA Tour, which is that they're the largest nonprofit organization just about in this country. So they give a lot of money away, and I'm happy to play my tiny little part.
So, I mean, your tiny little part is a caddy master of over 120 caddies. When we all hear caddy master, we think Brian Doyle Murray and Caddyshack and keeping all of these people in line. And we know one of the people that's sitting here with us is one of those people you got to keep in line. So,
yeah,
as a caddy master, what do you think people think you do, and what do you actually do as the caddy master of the Arnold Palmer Invitational?
I think people think that I just sit there at the desk and hand out numbers and towels and call guys up when they need, when we need a caddy, we call them up. And I think people think that this is all set up for us every year, that I'm just stepping into the role and executing it, during the tournament, but it couldn't be further from the truth. And I love, the caddy master name, as long as it's not at some stuffy, Northeastern club. It's the same in most of those clubs. They don't take tips, and I can't ask for tips, so we're good. But the work starts, so the work is much different than Brian Doyle Murray. We start in September. I started this year, and every year we have to think about how to make things better. And as Steve will tell you, that registration, if you could imagine, we stagger the registration. You show up at 6, you show up at 6:30, you show up at 7. At 5:30 in the morning, everybody's there waiting. They don't listen to instructions. They're all scared to death that they're not going to get a bag that day. And so that's the kind of stuff, day of, that's very complicated. But we started registering folks. We opened up the calendar, I think, in early October. This year, we built a system to register people online when they check in to be a caddy, just a way to keep track of everybody a little bit easier. It's been analog for a while, so now I'm trying to take it digital. And so that's the biggest part of the work is, so we've recruited now over 5.5 months. I was just looking at the numbers before I came on with you guys, and our goal is 120 caddies, and we have 115 registered. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah, there's a little bit of dropout rate there, but there's other sources of caddies that we have to work with. There's Bay Hill caddies who are there, and they work full time there. And then our biggest problem is, and this is the one that I pretty much occupy my day with, is that amateurs are asked when they register if they're bringing their own caddy. And if they are, what's the name? The name isn't even as important as, are you bringing your own caddy? So I have to figure out, based on the number of amateurs that are there, how many caddies I need for the day. And last year we experienced a day where we needed to have 82 caddies on a Monday. And we only used 40 because the other 42 amateurs brought their own without telling us. So I have to manage expectations. I have to manage the workload with the caddies because they're getting paid to participate. They get paid for it. They get a badge for the week to come out and play tournaments. So that gives you a little taste of some of my work, at least the day of.
Nice.
So I'm assuming the first year you volunteered with Arnold Palmer, you didn't walk right in as the caddy master the first year. What was your first job, and how did you kind of work your way, up the ladder there?
So I'll just tell you a quick story. The first time I did this when we lived in Las Vegas, it was really, you really had to climb a ladder. So the first job I had there was picking up garbage in the parking lot. And then, they had a nice term for it. They called it ecology. I was picking up garbage all over the golf course. That made me feel better. So I had to work my way up there as well. But here, I guess 9-10 years ago, one of my daughters, I have twins, they're 23 today, got very sick. And, and we are sort of an Orlando health family, if you will. So we took her to Arnold Palmer Hospital for Children, and she ended up spending 10 days there. She got very sick. And, if it weren't for the doctors at Arnold Palmer Hospital, the nurses in particular, Stephanie really could have had a bad outcome, but she didn't. And as far as we're concerned, they saved her. My wife was there every night, every minute of the day until I, relieved her. But Arnold Palmer Hospital for Children treated us like a family, and not just, that's the patient. They really understood what we all needed. And so, here I am, a fundraiser for a living. And I come out of this experience and I'm trying to think about how can I say thanks in some way? And then it occurred to me, I'm sure the Arnold Palmer Invitational has volunteers just like where I've lived in the past. Let me go check it out. So I signed up even like a caddy would do. And I had 3 choices to pick, what I wanted to do. And the first one, of course, was, walking scorer, which everybody wants to be. And the second thing was working on that big scoreboard over the 18th hole, because you get great views of 18 from there. And then finally, I picked MasterCard hospitality in the Pro-Am, because I thought it would be pretty cool. And I have a pretty good understanding of how these things work at PGA tournaments. So I got a call. I got a call in the summer before the next March, the tournament, asking me if I wanted to be a part of this committee. And it was one of my co-chairs that called me. And we had a really long conversation. I told him about my history, being involved with another PGA event as a volunteer. And, they were very happy to have me, and I joined them. So that was 9 years ago. And the first year, I did everything. I did everything on the caddy side, to everything in the MasterCard hospitality tent on the weekends. And it wasn't until my second year there, I guess I made a good impression, that I was asked to work with somebody in the caddy area, kind of learn the ropes. I didn't know what I was getting sucked into. It was my pleasure to do it. So that's how all this began.
So 9 years ago, you started out working the Pro-Am. You've worked all the way up to caddy master there. In that 9 years, when did it go from, hey, I'm there to help out and give back, to not only am I there to give back and help out, but it's also a love and a passion for this? When did that change?
You know what? Probably Sunday night, 9 years ago, Sunday night of the final round.
Oh, nice.
When the first tournament that I was there was over, and our hospitality area, which is huge, it's the MasterCard hospitality area over the driving range. Everybody emptied out, and we made sure everybody was gone. And then the entire committee, we all just, sat down and, breathed a sigh of relief, because, it was another year. And, I realized it wasn't just that I was volunteering with some people, I was volunteering with a family. And that's the way they made me feel when I came there. And I have been practicing the same thing, the same thing, from 9 years ago. So really at the end of the first week, I was already like, when do we start for next year? So that was the experience of just the first year.
But the first year brought you back in for the next 8 years. That's awesome.
I was in, and the other piece of it, like I said, it's a family. Is I've met men, women there that I am friends with, a lot more than just the 7 days of the tournament week. I have some really good friends I've made there, lifelong friends, golf buddies, business buddies. So I don't go the whole year without being reminded, at every turn, that we're a part of a special group of people. I mean, last year, 1,600 volunteers to put on the Arnold Palmer Invitational. I'm just one. So, but everybody there I know feels special, if you will. And, I feel the same way. But I also like to make my committee feel special, because I can't be as good as I am as a volunteer without my committee supporting me. So
that's awesome.
Neil, I know you talked about your daughter going to the hospital. Both of my children were born at the hospital. And I will tell you that neither of them were easy births. And that hospital is one of the absolute most amazing places. And when you look at the history that this tournament has benefiting that hospital, it's really pretty amazing. I mean, we can think back to Payne Stewart presenting his entire winner's check to the hospital one year. Still get chills thinking about that when he did that. So when you every year, and I'm sure now it's to see my smiling face every year on Wednesday, but what keeps you coming back?
Sorry, Neil.
Yeah.
Well, I would suggest that you have a nice, coastal caramel hot mochaccino for me when you get there next year, because I'll definitely put you ahead of a bunch of people. It's almost like habit. I mean, if I live, God willing, to 90 years old, I'll still be there every year volunteering until you can't roll me in there, kind of thing. It's really become a part of our family. There's an expectation that I'm going to be there every year and complete a job. And the satisfaction I get for two things. One, I know that the amateurs are having a fantastic experience out there, playing with a top 50 member of the PGA Tour. But the other piece of that is I get to provide 120 people with the most unbelievable experience as a golfer that they're ever going to have. As an example, one year, I mean, Steve, you could probably share, but I'll tell you, I'm too old and have a bad back. I wish I could carry the bag. But, my son, the first time I was doing this and he came out to caddy, I try not to show any favoritism. So I just put him out, and he ended up in Justin Thomas's group, little JT. He had the time of his life. Walking with JT, talking, the amateurs. He said JT's dad, the golf instructor, he said talk more than anybody, which was kind of neat. So seeing people enjoy the experience, knowing they're going to come back next year. We don't raise the kind of money that we do as an organization there without volunteers. So I'm just really proud of my volunteers that I work with, and they bring their part to the tournament every day. And they bring it hard.
Lost Dave's camera.
Did I put him
That's
asleep?
okay. No. He's got we're golfing dads. We got our kids in the background sometimes, so we got to go talk to them.
Well, look, I tried to wear the appropriate. Tonight.
Nice.
So, most of all, people listening to this tonight, if they're interested in caddying, I'll give them my Zelle account number, and all they need to do is just send a couple bucks into that account, and I'll make sure they get a bag. Well, you know what? You'd be surprised, by the way, how many people have offered that. Remarkably.
No, I wouldn't, because I know all those guys.
I had to move a door.
No, you're good. You're good. You're
Yeah.
good, Dad.
So
It's the golfing dads.
yeah. So Neil, you talk about giving out the instructions, and you tell Steve to show up at 8 o'clock, and he's there at your doorstep at 5:30. So walk us through a normal day in the tournament for you. What time are you arriving, and really what's one of the first things you're dealing with there, outside of Steve being on your doorstep at 5:30?
Yes. So so Monday morning and Monday morning and Wednesday morning and afternoon, that's when the pro-ams take place. But my routine doesn't change. So I always try to beat one of my co-chairs, and so I tend to get to the golf course about 4:45, maybe 4:30, 4:45. And all of the caddies are staged in a tent along the 9th hole at Bay Hill. For anybody who doesn't know sort of where that proximity is, it's pretty close to the driving range. It's along the 9th fairway. And so, that's where amateurs come in to have their breakfast and to check in, they get their goodie bags. And then that's where we pair them with their caddies. So I get there. I've learned I carry two lanterns with me, a couple flashlights, because there's nothing on at that hour. And I just start setting up, my world, which is the laptops, the lists for registration that we've had to put together, and I have changes up until midnight, and then I got to get up at 4:45. Caddies suddenly, come down with the golf flu or something. Because if I were caddying, short of like malaria, there's nothing that would keep me from going to caddy there. But we get those changes, and we have to make changes, middle of the night. But one of the first things we do also is, so Bay Hill has their own caddies from the club, and they generally caddy for a particular group. And so we have to pick up those assignments, and we have to pick up ways that our caddies get paid. So I have a lot of pickups to do, at least with a golf cart, at the clubhouse and the tournament office. And, I'm probably back at the table by about 5:15. And then, by then some of my volunteers get there, and then everybody's got an assignment, and we start setting up. So for anybody who's not been through this, we use a very, very serious system. We use poker chips, and the poker chips are 1 through 120, and there's 2 colors, and you get 1 color to turn in to get paid, and you get 1 color to give one of my volunteers before you get assigned to a player, so we can keep track. So understand that at the end of the day, if we had 100, players going out, we're paying a lot of money to them. So there has to be a lot of reconciliation. And so I have to do that during the day and make sure our numbers match up with the tournament office. And it's a really fluid morning. Just about anything can happen. For instance, the porta potties don't get opened up on time. Lord knows, caddies have been drinking a lot of coffee and eating on their way at that hour of the morning. And if I don't have porta potties for them, it's not good. And things like that, we don't provide a lot of comfort for the caddies. They're not going to be sitting with us for very long. But, there are things that happen. The electricity doesn't get turned on. I can't get the computers up and running. We don't have any lights until the sun comes up. So we've pretty much had just about everything. And I have to very fluidly orchestrate all of these caddies checking in, getting an assignment chip, getting a chip for them to get paid, getting their credentials for the day. We give them a towel. We send them a ticket for the week. So we have to make sure we have everybody's information in good order so we can say thank you. That's a little glimpse into a whole lot of things I do that morning. But my favorite thing, and I just make it a point to send somebody else, is that I want to be sitting at the desk every time, we're registering caddies, because we have caddies. My longest tenured caddy right now is 15 years. And then the next one is 9 years. And so, there are people who plan their vacations around coming to Orlando that week and working, all 6 out of 7 days of the tournament. And I have guys that fly in with, their brothers or their brother-in-laws, like they're going on a golf trip, only they're coming in to caddy for me, and then they get their passes and they're hanging out the rest of the week to see the tournament. So, they're giving up a lot, and they're volunteering, because I can assure you that what we pay them doesn't match up to their expenses. But the fact that they want to enjoy their vacation time, coming and helping us, is, to me, is just, what's the best word for it? Committed, for lack of a different word, so I want to give them the same that they give me. So sitting there, checking every player in, is my favorite part of the morning.
I know you and I have talked, and last year I actually got a caddy that caddies at Bethpage to come down and caddy. And it was literally his dream to caddy the Pro-Am at Bay Hill. And I look at it as I'm lucky enough to get to do it every year. But when you talk about the volunteers at Bay Hill and the volunteers that it takes to pull this off, and you said 1,600 strong, that show up at that volunteer meeting on Tuesday is the volunteer meeting out there. It's
no. Actually, the volunteer meeting is the Saturday. And
Saturday, okay.
It's the volunteer breakfast. It's the Saturday before tournament week.
Okay.
Yeah.
So next Saturday. It's such an important part of this tournament and the volunteer hours that go into this. If someone is considering volunteering at API, but they're not sure it's worth it, what would you say to them?
I would say to them, there's no reason in the world why they can't register and pick some areas that they might enjoy volunteering their time. And talk to, somebody from a committee is going to call them and talk to them about what the committee does, and that person's going to talk about what they want to get out of this. And either it's something that's for them or it's not. But I would not assume that anybody knows what it's really like, to volunteer for this organization. So if they're interested, it's Arnold Palmer Invitational.com. And then there's a volunteer, pull down on the top of the page, and you just hit it, and it walks you through the registration process. I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure I'm going to get this number 100% correct, but the last time I looked, there were in excess of 300 volunteers on the waiting list. So, either the committee chooses you because they need volunteers. It's not so much that the volunteer chooses what committee they want to work on these days, which I think is a great problem, if you will. And you should be aware, they announced it at last year's volunteer breakfast, that the Arnold Palmer Invitational was voted the number one, we are the number one volunteer group to put on a PGA tournament on the PGA schedule, which was just amazing. And they honored one
Congrats.
And they honored one of our volunteer chairs at the same time. So we don't get paid for this. It's a labor of love. And listen, if you're even the smallest golf fan, you got to love what you get to see out there. So
No, it's always been such a great event. We've always enjoyed walking around there. I miss it not living down there anymore. So, but let's switch gears with you here a little bit, Neil. Like the three of us here, you're also a junior golf dad. When did you realize that Sam had something special?
When he was, every dad goes through this when they're really young and they got the plastic, golf clubs and plastic balls. I think really what it was more than anything was he grew up in Las Vegas before he moved here. And so he had the benefit of being out, at a PGA tournament all the time, during those weeks. And he, what does every dad do? They want to bring, the kids along to, cool experiences. So he went to a lot of cool golf experiences, and he wasn't a one sport kid at all, to be honest with you. I mean, he excelled in baseball. He was a good golfer. And so he had to decide at some point, what was something he really wanted to focus on. So he had opportunities to play everything growing up. I think it's the best thing in the world. He played hockey. He like I said, he played hockey, played baseball, played golf. But somewhere, I guess, when he was around 13, and at that point, Sam, could have been or would have been playing a lot of tournament golf by then. But he had he was playing a lot of different sports. But I guess about when he was 13 years old, he came to me and he said, look, he goes, I love all these sports. He goes, but I just want to, he goes, I don't want to play on a team anymore. I want to play a sport for myself that it's not on anybody else whether I play well or I don't. It's up to me. If I play well, then I had a great opportunity. If I played really bad, I mean, that's on me. I didn't disappoint anybody else. I didn't let a team down. I let myself down. And he said, I can control that a lot more than I can control being on a team. So we joined I had been a member at a club. We joined a different club in the area that was geared very much towards junior players at the time. And Sammy started playing and practicing there a lot. I saw a lot of improvement. He was whipping me at a very young age, and that's not easy to do. And he asked for more. I mean, Sammy, from as early as I can remember, is an equipment geek. I mean, before he, was studying a physics class in high school, he could tell you about the metal that's used to make a golf club, and then, the torque and the strengths of the shaft when he was really young. So I knew he was going to be in the golf industry. And then his playing caught up to his knowledge about equipment, and he started playing very well. And that's when I thought he really needed some instruction that was out of my hands, out of some of the local clubs in the area. And he went to the Ledbetter Academy, and he spent 2.5, 3 years at Ledbetter here in town. So he wasn't, he didn't stay there, but somebody had to drive him every day. So at the time I worked remotely, which was very lucky because I worked in, in the lobby area of the Ledbetter Academy down at Champions Gate for years. I just set up shop and went to work. So, and from that point moving forward, he had all of the resources, and he took advantage, and he never took them for granted. And he, really started playing well and got recruited for college. So it was just a wonderful experience to watch, to see. And anybody who gets their kids into golf early, and if they have a love for it, you've got to nurture it. Because golf's a game I don't have to tell you guys, you talk about this every week, but for me, golf's a game that I'll play with my son, for the rest of my life. And not too long ago, there were 3 generations of Abramsons playing golf together. My dad, myself, and Sammy. And we're all exactly 30 years apart. But, for the year and a half or so that we could do that, what more could you ask for? And you only get those experiences, I think, a lot in, with a sport like golf. So anyway, that's what it's like raising a kid.
So, well, Neil, I want to get into that because my son's just getting into it, and I've done that. My son, he's 5, and I've played with him with my dad and his grandfather. So what is the hardest part about raising a kid in competitive golf? You talked about having to sit in the lobby and do your work. Yeah. So what was the hardest thing?
Well, the hardest thing about it is the cost. That's the first thing.
They are expensive.
Yeah, they are. But I will tell you, in Sam's case, kind of paid off in the end. So there are a lot of sacrifices that need to get made. I think because of my love for golf, it really wasn't much of a sacrifice for me. But, my wife and our 2 daughters, in some ways we were very lucky because my 2 daughters could have cared less about golf or going away on weekends with us to tournaments. They just weren't interested. And so my wife, who is the greatest golf widow that ever lived, she met me in college when I played college golf. So she knew the deal. But she was great. She would go to tournaments with me. She would take Sam to tournaments, and I stayed home. So we shared the love around the house, even though Sam was out traveling and playing tournaments. But the biggest thing about it, for instance, with a 5-year-old is you got to let them develop on their own. You can steer them, you can guide them. Sometimes as they get a little bit older, you can't tell them because they'll fight back. You just gotta give them the fundamentals, if they're willing to listen. And they don't really listen at 5. To tell you the truth, I'm sure he loves nothing more than just taking a good old hard swing at the ball, which is what
it does.
Yeah, and that's great. I mean, that's exactly what you should be letting them do until he shows you that he can do it well, or until he says that he wants more, or can I go with you? When you start to hear those things, and I experienced that back then, and probably the biggest mistake I ever made was when Sammy was like 10. I started having him come play in my boys group on Sunday morning. And he started winning skins. And I was
he got the itch right there. He was
and I was bankrolling him. That's it. Yeah, sure. Bet my money. You win, you keep it. If you win, I don't get anything back. It's a good deal.
I still bet my dad today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just say one more thing and then let you guys answer some more questions. But I think you'll also find, Greg, that if your son plays golf and enjoys it and grows up with golf, it's going to make him a more mature, understanding, sensitive man who is much more street savvy, if you will. Not book savvy, but he's going to play with yourself, your friends, older guys. It tends to happen, and kids, they learn good manners and good etiquette. And so, I generally find that Sam's friends from that world, they're all great kids today, Yeah.
I know one of them. I don't know, Ben. I mean, hey, Sam's turned into a pretty good dude and has had some pretty cool gigs in the golf industry now. And now he's up in Georgia at a very high-end private club as the lead assistant there. As a dad, seeing him make it in this industry like he's doing, how proud does that make you feel?
Words cannot express it. It's priceless. Because it wasn't an easy road for him to get to where he is today in the professional golf world. He's faced disappointment and adversity. And so having to watch him go through all that, I knew it was just a learning experience, but he's finally, gotten to where he wants to be. And that in and of itself, there's nothing that could make myself, my wife, my whole family happier than that. So,
Awesome.
yeah. So
That's awesome.
I'm proud. There's also some good perks, I will admit. For instance, let's see. I get this great new set of golf clubs every year. They're called hand-me-downs. We have to do a lot of adjusting to it because, as you guys, as Steve knows, Sammy is 6'4", maybe 6'5", and I'm 5'5", maybe 5'6".
Yeah.
So most people think my wife hooked up with the mailman or something. But there's a lot of perks to the job that I get to benefit from. So, like I said, I put a lot of money into his golf when he was young. I will tell you that he went to college on a golf scholarship, which was a little unexpected, but awesome. And now that he's enjoying his work, and he represents right now. He's repping TaylorMade. 2 years ago was Titleist. A couple more years ago, before that was Callaway. So I really got to try out everything and see what I like. He's happy. Every day I talk to him, I hear something new, and it makes me really, really excited in his world. But I've stepped back, and he sort of jumped into my world for a while. Sam is Neil's son. Now I'm Neil, Sam's dad. So I don't get front billing anymore, and that really is something that I love. When somebody comes up to me and says, "Hey, you're Sam's dad, aren't you?" I'm like, "Yeah," and they're like, "Oh, we met him." That kind of stuff. Just I love it.
Well, Neil, thank you for joining us tonight. This has been awesome. Learning about being a golf dad that you've gone through and raised a great son, and then the work that you do at Bay Hill. We get 2 weeks until the API, and I can't wait to see you out there in 2 weeks.
I'm looking forward to it. You, Steve, if any of you guys are coming into town for any reason, you can find me. MasterCard Hospitality Thursday through Sunday.
I know right where to find you.
Yeah,
David and I need to make our way back into town for this.
All right.
Yeah.
Guys,
Going to that.
thank you so much for having me.
Cheers, Neil.
Thanks, Neil.
Take care.
I mean, wow, if you are going to Bay Hill or you're going to any PGA event, just think about all the people that, like Neil and his team, that put that on for you. They volunteer, they put in their hours, so have fun. Treat everyone with respect and kindness while they're out there, because they're giving their time to make you have a great time at that event. So thank you, Neil. You are one of the great ones out there. So continue doing what you're doing. All right. With that being said, speaking of golf tournaments, here's where I want to go first, Steve. I want to go from the PGA to Australia to congratulate a former PGA player and a guy who's come back from the bottom. Now he's on top again. Anthony Kim, congratulations. What a story that was this week. Getting his first win in 16 years?
16 years and 12 years of doing God only knows what.
Yeah.
Like literally lost in the woods. I don't know what he was.
Coming back from injury, coming back from substance abuse, having his family pick him and his friends pick him back up, get him back to where he is today. That's an awesome story. And congratulations, Anthony Kim.
The best part I think about that, and we talked about his substance abuse, is LIV, and I will shout out LIV Golf and
100%.
Anthony Kim's team here. The way they celebrated with sparkling water out there on the course, and they showered him with sparkling water and everything else. They were very receptive to the demons that he has battled, and the fact that they were prepared and LIV Golf was prepared for that moment, that shines very brightly upon them.
100%. All right, now switching back to the PGA Tour, and on the PGA Tour,
can I say something really quick?
Hold on, can I finish
really
what I was going to say? Can I finish? Are you going to say about Anthony Kim?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Two things. One, I do not want to take anything away from what Anthony Kim did. He chased down the 2 best players in the LIV Tour. And I think it was amazing. But
hold on. This is coming. I had to go there because I know where you're going with this.
First hot take. This is why 4 rounds makes a difference.
It's 4 back going into
the 4th round. And had we played 54 holes, he wouldn't have won. We wouldn't be talking about this.
Nope.
The other problem, and Trey Wingo talked about this on Trey Wingo's podcast, and I have a ton of respect for Trey Wingo. Why is it that LIV can't let it stand alone?
Because LIV.
Why does it have to be? Why do they have to come out and say?
Because LIV is all about LIV. That's what it is.
Why do they have to come out and say this is better than Hogan's comeback? Let's be real.
They have to make it about LIV. And this is a great comeback. This is a great comeback story, and it should just be about Anthony Kim. It should not be about competing with anyone because it's not. It's not better than anything else. It's Anthony Kim. It's a standalone story.
Correct. And furthermore, they went down another road on top of that because they're trying to get their digs in at the PGA Tour and said, oh, LIV Adelaide should be the 5th major. Now,
I mean, you tried to make the Players the 5th major last week, so
again, I would put the Players as the 5th major well above LIV Adelaide.
We're not going down the 5th major route again.
I also said that I think the Australian Open should be the 5th major. So,
well, at least you're both in the same area.
I mean, fair. I'm okay with that. Again, LIV, they just need to not try and take this. Let it stand for what it is. This was an amazing win, and I will give AK a lot of credit. Dude was 133 over par in all of his other events leading up till this one. So you know what? Great.
Well, you know what? Speaking about amazing wins, if you want to have an amazing win like our boy Chris Gotterup, you got to get yourself the Bridgestone Tour B with the mindset technology and the Velo Surge, because if you want to gain more yards and play better golf and hit the ball straighter, check out Bridgestone Golf for all your golf ball needs. Sorry, I had to put that in there.
Oh, hey, you know where I figured out something though for LIV. That's the spot that they need to send Jack Doherty to.
No,
Jack Doherty with a punchable face. Like,
yes.
I'm sorry.
I wouldn't even wish that on LIV. I wouldn't.
I don't even want to talk about him in golf. He's what's wrong with social media and society. You're just saying
his name is like
we
TV
shouldn't even say his name.
showing the streaker.
That's the last time we say his name on this podcast.
Okay, I'm good with that.
All right, let's go on to another win this week. Collin Morikawa, congratulations. Also, soon to be golfing dad himself.
Yes.
Congratulations on your win at Pebble. What a win. What a tournament again. We have had, like, the first few weeks of the PGA Tour season have been nothing but fire, have been nothing but comebacks, have been nothing but great stories. I mean, if this continues...
Is the story more about the comeback or the weather conditions at Pebble that happened there this week?
See, I feel they talked more about the weather conditions, and I don't feel it affected the play as much as they talked about it.
I feel like the only time it affected the play was on 18 on Saturday and Sunday.
For putting, yes.
For putting.
I watched somebody putt past the hole on 18 and gave it the 10 seconds because it started blowing back towards the hole.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only time I really think it is, but I think that the announcers were playing up thinking it was going to happen. I don't think they were saying anything wrong, but I don't think it ever had the effect that they were expecting.
No, Scotty shot 63 on Sunday that should have been a 59. Let's just say that,
Collin shot 62 on Saturday that should have been 55. This round on Saturday was stupid. I do want to point out a couple stats really quickly. All but one of this year's PGA Tour winners has been playing on TGL, and that one guy that hasn't won, that isn't playing on TGL, is Scotty Scheffler. Just want to point that out for everybody.
Well, considering two of the wins are one guy.
Hey, listen,
Chris Gotterup.
In Scotty's last 7 events, he's been beat by a total of 10 players. One of them was same guy twice.
I mean, dude, Scotty Scheffler. Like this is fun to watch again. We've talked about this last year and 2 years ago. Is it like watching Tiger Woods in 2000? To be honest, it's getting as exciting as that. He is becoming the new Tiger Woods. He is living up to it. He is doing it year after year, and I want to continue to see this. I feel like on Thursday and Friday, he's like slowing down, like Dash from The Incredibles in that race at the end of The Incredibles, and then
keep it close. Keep close. Oh,
yeah,
keep
it
going.
close. Keep it close, and then all of a sudden you're gonna blow him out on Sunday and make these amazing comebacks, and just comes up short. So Scotty, just go all out all 4 days. But
because it's the visuals that you need and the stabilization of Scotty's golf game.
I was going to say, if you're looking for visuals and stabilization, look no further than the Nikon Coolshots Pro 3. That is a game changer out there. Best rangefinder in the game, has that stabilization, that crystal clear Nikon picture that you are looking for when you are dialing in that yardage. Get yourself a Nikon rangefinder.
Hey, you know where that would have been great is on 18 at Pebble with the win this past week.
Oh my God!
Yes.
Well, hold on. I want to ask this. So, Golfish, our brand that we know and love, that we're all wearing, that's the most comfortable thing. Is it as comfortable as Tommy Fleetwood and the Pro Shop of Pebble that he was repping this week? I think he needs some Golfish attire, and so does everyone else. So check out golfish.com.
I think we need to call Jamie. He's been on our show a couple times. I think we need to get Jamie involved with Tommy Fleetwood.
I think we do. I think he needs to be repping that Golfish brand because it is a game changer.
Somebody had a press conference today at 1:30 Eastern time.
I did. I was talking about I was going to take my talents to a different podcast. No, I'm just kidding. Tiger Woods.
Yeah, I missed
it. The decision.
The decision. Yeah, that was Tiger Woods making a podcast. Steve, you and I talked about this on our ways to work this morning, and we said that this could have been where he says, I'm playing in the Masters. He didn't exactly.
He didn't say
that,
no, though. He said, so
no.
you're saying there's a chance, is what he said. And don't think I haven't called Steve and said to him, so you're saying there's a chance to see him on Tuesday.
Yeah, there's the jet is probably fueled up and ready to make that social media appearance again, that he's going to Augusta. So big news out there.
What? Why wouldn't he?
I don't know, but I think he needs to use upswing clubs out there. If you're looking for that junior set, and speaking of junior sets, upswing golf for all your kids' golfing needs. These clubs grow with you. It is the perfect set for your junior golfer out there as they're getting,
especially if you're involved in the drive, chip, and putt championships.
There you go,
golf.
Dave. You were reading my mind. At Augusta,
it's like we're one person.
If you're going to get out there in the drive, chip, and putt, upswing golf, check them out.
Tiger did also say they had there's a did I just lose my man?
Oh, Steve just lost his internet. This is a first, folks. All right, we'll take Steve out of here.
Don't know what happened there.
My camera shut off.
Ah, well, that's why you charge these things. So speaking of, we're coming into Greg.
Greg, you're muted. Greg, you're muted. We can't hear you. Greg, your microphone died.
Greg.
There we go. So
I'm the only one that's kind of just here tonight.
All of a sudden, my camera just shut off. We couldn't hear you. No. We're having technical difficulties tonight. Please stand by. Really quickly, Tiger did also in his presser say something about possibly being the Ryder Cup, the next Ryder Cup captain. So there's been discussions. So we'll go from there and see what happens. Hope everybody has a great week. Oh, you know what we didn't do, Dave?
We got to do our picks. for a
We do have to
Tigers
do our
tournament.
picks. For Tigers tournament.
Yes.
You have the first pick, right?
I do have the first pick. Coming in the Genesis this week. We already know Steve is locked into his pick because Greg and I have already taken Scotty this month. So I've already written that down on the sheet.
I don't pick.
For that, Scotty's coming in a little bit over 3-1. McElroy about 3.25. Greg?
Oh, wait.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
I can hear you now.
Okay. I don't know what was going on with that.
Yeah.
You guys were fine.
Yeah. Rory, 13-1. Xander, 20-1. Tommy, 22. Hideki, 22. Actually, Hideki, 22.5. Cantley, 26. Morikawa at 28. And Goddard at 30. I'm taking Chris Goddard this week.
Hey, I love it. Take your boy Chris Goddard up this week. I got the win with Scotty last week, so Steve, you're up next.
Steve has Scotty already, so because you and I have already picked them this month, so Steve's
okay. So you're just writing in Scotty?
I already
all right,
wrote in Scotty.
Go ahead, Greg.
We're gonna flip then from last week. I'm gonna take Roars this week.
Okay.
Rory.
Saw that coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was my pick. I was hoping you were.
Dave, you haven't picked Rory yet this year, have you?
No, I have not picked Rory
Ricky
this year.
Or Ricky. You should have picked Ricky a few weeks ago. Like Ricky's been.
Ricky, by the way, has had all top 20s this year. I'm just going to leave that out there.
Yeah, Ricky's been playing well.
Yeah.
I mean, Sepp is playing well right now. It's been fun to watch.
I'm on a
All right, everybody.
different path this year.
You're on a different path this year.
I'm on a different path with my picking strategy this year.
What? Pick winners?
We need to end this show now. I don't want to hear about his path and what path he's taking.
Well, thank you to Neil from the Arnold Palmer Invitational for coming on, talking about volunteering out there. If you're looking to volunteer, make sure you're going to your local PGA event, and everyone's always looking for volunteers. So do your part and help out there. So with that being said, have a good show. Have a good night, everybody.
Cheers.
All right, guys. What a round today. Cheers.